Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a world that sounds pretty straightforward on the surface, but, well, it gets incredibly complex. We're talking about matching children with foster families.
Right. And it's something practitioners often say, nothing ever goes quite as planned.
Exactly. That phrase really stuck with me.
And it's more than just a saying. Getting that match right isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely critical for a successful placement.
Yeah.
A bad match can lead to disruptions, which are just incredibly traumatic for a child. So what we want to do today is look at how the sort of ideal way of matching bumps up against the day-to-day reality.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Researchers actually talk about three different layers to how this matching happens in practice. The first one is what they call matching as planned.
That's the textbook version, basically.
Right, the ideal, where practitioners are carefully looking at things like cultural background, age, location, even the foster care's specific skills, their pedagogical qualities.
Yeah, their ability to teach, nurture, handle discipline, all that, often using lists or frameworks. It's structured.
That's the plan. But then there's the second layer, matching being tailored.
And this is where the flexibility comes in, adapting the process. Maybe a child needs things to go much slower.
Or their situation is unique, like maybe their parents are in prison.
Exactly. That changes things. So you tailor the approach. It's about doing what seems best for that particular child's needs.
Makes sense. But then reality hits, the third layer, matching being compromised.
Yeah, this is the tough part. Despite the best plans, the best tailoring, obstacles get in the way.
And practitioners sometimes have to, well, lower their standards a bit.
It can happen. It's that really difficult balancing act.
So what are these big obstacles? What gets in the way?
Well, one huge one our sources point to is just time pressure.
Always the clock ticking,
Exactly. And it really affects the quality of the decision. Sometimes placements get rushed.
which could be less thought out, maybe even harmful for the child moving again.
Potentially, yes. It's a serious issue. Time isn't just a constraint. It can actually undermine the whole process.
Okay, so time's a big one. What else?
A massive hurdle is simply the lack of options.
Yeah.
There's not enough suitable foster families available.
Right. A shortage.
It's a real shortage. And this is especially hard for children with disabilities. They're overrepresented in the system, often need very specific kinds of care.
And finding families equipped for that is even harder.
Much harder.
Yeah.
So practitioners might face a choice between no placement or a placement that's, well, less than ideal, more risk involved.
That sounds incredibly stressful for everyone involved.
Yeah.
Are there other, maybe less obvious factors?
Definitely. Incomplete information is another big one. Data might be missing or old or just plain wrong.
So decisions get based more on gut feeling.
Pretty much relying on intuition, which is, not ideal when a child's future is on the line. Very. And then you've got wider things like external factors, societal prejudices, maybe pressure on foster families from their own communities, or just poor coordination between different agencies involved. All that can subtly mess up a potentially good match.
Wow. So with all these compromises, how do they actually try to keep things safe for the child? How do they manage?
Well, they get creative, like you said. They might really ramp up the support after the child is placed.
Like extra supervision or therapy right away?
Exactly. Intensive support to try and compensate for maybe a less than perfect match on paper. They also really value experienced foster families.
People who can handle more uncertainty, more challenging behaviors.
Yes, families who are robust, who've seen a lot. Like, we saw examples of families willing to take a child with severe allergies, even though they had pets, and they just figured out practical solutions. Real commitment.
That brings us to this idea of a good enough match, doesn't it?
It does. And good enough doesn't mean settling for second best in a bad way. It means making a decision, even if not every single box is ticked, because the risk is judged low enough for it to likely succeed.
Okay.
And it really highlights that just loving a child, while essential, isn't always enough. Foster parents need real self-awareness about their own limits.
Like that example of the family trying to balance their own child's needs with a new foster child's needs.
Precisely. They loved the child, but they realized they couldn't sustainably meet everyone's needs. Recognizing that limit is part of providing good care. It's about safety and what's sustainable long-term, not just about achieving some impossible ideal.
It really is a profound balancing act then. You've got the plans, the adaptations, and then these really tough compromises, all trying to give each child the best possible shot.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, matching isn't just picking a family off a list. It's much deeper. It's really about forging a strong foundation for that placement.
Forging a foundation. I like that.
Yeah, with the ultimate goal being to maximize the chance that the placement will actually work out for the child. It's complex, it's compassionate, and it's fundamental to the well-being of so many kids. Something important for all of us to think about, really.